vaccinate to protect loved ones, and get a booster to keep your immunity strong. Wear a mask when it can protect you and others, and if possible, keep gatherings small, short, and outdoors if you're uncertain of everyone's vaccination status. Bring on the cheer safely this year. Find a vaccine near you at myturn.ca.gov. Brought to you by the California Department of Public Health.
KFI is literally the KFI of talk radio.
This four-door, five-passenger sedan.
KFI and KLSP HD2, Los Angeles, Orange County.
All lines are equipped for revolutionary
It's time for your morning wake-up call.
providing fuel efficiency without sacrificing performance. Cadillac perfected
Here's Jennifer Jones Lee.
on the exterior surface. An attractive stance is achieved thanks to alloy
Well, good morning, and welcome to a showery Tuesday. I haven't been able to say that in a while. No rain in LA for the month of November. I don't think that had happened since, don't quote me on this, but I think 96. And then this morning, a little bit of rain. All of a sudden I hear, have you ever been driving along in the dark and you hear some tapping on your windshield and you think, oh gosh, there's got to be a truck in front of me that's like, got rocks flying off of it, that kind of thing. And I'm looking around, I don't see any trucks. How sad is that my first thought is, there must be a truck with rocks throwing off of it, not, oh hey, we might actually be getting some rain. Mentality of a Southern California girl. KFI AM 640 live everywhere on the iHeart Radio app. Here's what's just ahead on your wake-up call. A 13-year-old boy has been killed and 2 other people shot in Wilmington. More cases of the Omicron COVID-19 variant have been reported in LA. Rapper Lil Wayne is being investigated for allegedly pulling an assault rifle on his bodyguard in Hidden Hills. 5:05, we'll talk with ABC's Inez de la Futura. Ukraine's president held his country's military yesterday, praised them, saying its forces are capable of fending off potential attacks by Moscow as tensions rise over the Russian troop buildup near the Ukrainian border. Well, today, President Biden is supposed to talk with Russian President Putin. And is he going to be able to sort of put out the flames between the two? I mean, this conflict has been going on for a really long time. So we'll find out what is going to happen today and what's happened along the border with Ukraine in just a few minutes with Inez. So let's start with some of these stories coming out of the KFI 24-hour newsroom. A 13-year-old boy has been killed and 2 other people shot in Wilmington. The boy and woman shot yesterday were sitting in a car. LAPD Captain Adrian Gonzalez says a 9-year-old girl was also shot.
Just playing, just doing whatever a 9-year-old is supposed to do, just innocently, obviously, unknowingly, it's just a victim. It's a random victim.
The girl was standing in a playground near an elementary school. A 3rd case of the Omicron variant of COVID-19 has been found in LA County.
Health officials say the person recently arrived from West Africa was fully vaccinated. The person's at home with mild symptoms. The 2nd case was reported yesterday and involved a USC student who traveled to the East Coast for the Thanksgiving holiday. The student was also fully vaccinated and has mild symptoms. The 1st case was reported last week and was an LA-based traveler who went to South Africa through London. Steve Gregory, KFI News.
The CDC has added more countries to its list of destinations where the risk of COVID-19 is very high. The list includes France, Portugal, Jordan, Tanzania, and more. All of the countries on the advisory list have had more than 500 COVID cases per 100,000 residents over the past month. LA County DA Gascon is facing another recall.
Well, the last recall effort was unsuccessful. Cassandra Vandenberg with the Recall Gascon campaign says she's confident this one will be.
The lack of resources and funds from the first effort, we raised about $1.4 million, and it just kind of dried up. And this time we're starting with, almost double that, $2.5 million.
Organizers say they served Gascon with recall intent papers yesterday. They say they're determined to restore public safety in Los Angeles. In downtown LA, Blake Trolley, KFI News.
California Republican Congressman Devin Nunes has announced he will retire at the end of the year. He says he's taking on a new job as CEO of the Trump Media and Technology Group. Nunes represented a congressional district in Central California for 10 terms. Well, the mayor of Burbank says a smaller city and proactive police department have helped find those responsible for those 4 retail shop break-ins last week along Magnolia Boulevard. Bob Fruto says the community is a big part of helping the police.
Our Burbank Police Department still has a 3.2-minute response time, but right now our emphasis is high visibility, but we ask the neighbors, if you see something, say something.
Fruto says traffic cameras have helped track the possible getaway car. The police department says by the end of the week it should be able to identify those responsible. A several thousand-pound crime victims monument is a reminder for cops and prosecutors in Orange County who pass the rock every day.
Release the dough.
Orange County DA Todd Fisher says it doesn't matter if a family lost a loved one decades or days ago.
It is as fresh of the weight of your life and your emotion as the weight of this boulder.
Crime Survivors founder Patricia Winskunis says the rock can't take away the pain, but the monument can provide hope.
Together, we are better, we are stronger, and we need to empower and strengthen victims and survivors.
The monument reads, their voices will never be silenced, and the fight for justice will carry on for eternity. At the Orange County DA's office, Corbin Carson, KFI News.
When we come back, we'll talk with ABC's Inez de la Cuttera about Ukraine's president holding his country's military high, saying his forces are capable of fending off a potential attack by Moscow. But will President Biden be able to sort of calm the flames a bit when he talks with Russian President Putin today? We'll find out. Let's say hello now to Nick Paliochini checking your drive on the 60.
Good morning, Jen, and it's a mess for the drive, actually. Eastbound side coming away from, looks like about central out of the Chino area through Ontario, continuing toward the 15. Was overnight Caltrain speed working in lanes pretty much from Grove to the 15 carpool lane, 2 left lanes. We're shut down there in the process of reopening, but really, really rough when you ride first thing this morning. Got an update on this or anything else putting you downtown 250 on the cell phone, keyword KFI traffic. Westbound side of the 91 Riverside to Corona as you come away from La Sierra. Heavy stretches of slowing for you to make your way towards Green River. Also seeing a bit of a rough go for the drive on the westbound side of the 60. Getting out of Industry and Hacienda Heights from as far back as 7th as you make your way towards the 605. Looks like that's due to Caltrain's work that's dropping up in the area as well. KFI and the Sky helps get there faster. I'm Nick Paliochini.
506 on your wake-up call. Inez de la Cuttera, thank you for joining me again. So Ukraine's president yesterday really rallied his military, saying, hey, we are good to go. If we get hit by an attack from Moscow, we've got this. But you've got President Biden today already saying, you know what, let me talk to Putin before this gets out of hand. I guess let's start with the Ukrainian side. Is it a bark that's bigger than their bite case, or do they really have what they said that they have?
I mean, they're certainly concerned, and a few weeks ago, the Ukrainian president had expressed concern that Russia was amassing, tons of troops along its border, and that Russia could invade. We know there are over 100,000 Russian soldiers massed on Ukraine's border. Russia has actually surrounded Ukraine on 3 sides now. So the Ukrainian president had voiced concerns. Now he's trying to project confidence, but it's no coincidence that President Biden and the Russian President Vladimir Putin will be speaking today, like you say. That'll happen in just about an hour, actually. They're going to be speaking by video conference, and President Biden has said, and White House officials have said, they're going to try and diplomatically de-escalate this. And then Biden has also said if Putin does not back down, and if Putin were to invade Ukraine, there would be economic sanctions imposed on Russia, and these would be the worst or the toughest economic sanctions imposed on Russia to this day.
Yeah, there have been no bones made about it that the U.S. would support Ukraine in the fight should there be one. And I'm glad you mentioned the timing of this, because that's the first thing that I thought yesterday. If you have President Biden sort of going to bat for Ukraine today, and you've got the Ukrainian president talking about we're good, we're ready to go, it's sort of like a show of force to Putin, I guess, in advance of today's meeting.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tricky situation. I think, most military experts would agree that Russia has a stronger military capability than Ukraine does, but Ukraine does have the support of the West, and that's part of what bothers Putin so much, is that Ukraine is pro-democracy, pro-West. It's aligned itself with the U.S., and that really bothers Russia. And, part of Putin's demands, he's asked for this in the past, and he's likely to ask for this again when he speaks to Biden today, but they have previously asked for Ukraine to be barred from ever joining NATO, for instance. So that's a big concern for Putin, that Ukraine is so aligned with the West. But at the same time, the West is not in a position where it could really, send kind of boots on the ground to defend Ukraine, because this is all happening in Russia's, backyard. So lots of, unknowns here. It's also not quite clear what Russia's intentions are. Would Russia actually invade Ukraine? We had the CIA director saying just yesterday that the U.S. intelligence assessment is that Russia hasn't actually decided yet whether they actually want to invade Ukraine. And as far as what Russia's endgame is, that's the other big question. Why is Russia doing this? There's concerns, obviously, because Russia had already annexed Crimea, which used to be a part of Ukraine. They did that in 2014. But could Russia just try to expand even more this time around? It's possible. But there are also some speculating that maybe this is Putin doing this to heighten tension ahead of this summit with Biden, to then, have this big summit with Biden and then walk away from the summit and say, look, we managed to avoid conflict, we de-escalated tensions, and that can be a win for Putin.
So there's not even necessarily a reason that President Biden has to be sort of the mediator in all of this if Putin's end game is to be able to walk away and do just what you said.
Yeah, but Biden does have to show that he does support Ukraine, but at the same time, it seems very unlikely that Biden would actually interfere militarily in Ukraine, so he is kind of in a tricky spot. He wants to show strength. He wants to show that he supports Ukraine. This is why he's talking about, putting tough economic sanctions in place. But he also, is in a tricky spot where both Putin and Biden know that it is extremely unlikely that Biden would actually interfere militarily in Ukraine.
All right. Thank you so much, Inez, for explaining all that.
Thank you.
All right. See you later. ABC's Inez de la Cuchera. Well, we'll see what happens today. I do think it's interesting that it's a virtual call. I'd love to see if we get any little snapshot of it. But, yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. You always keep your fingers crossed. Let's get back to some of these stories coming out of the KFI 24-hour newsroom. Arraignment is scheduled today for the man charged with murdering the wife of a well-known music executive in her home in Beverly Hills. Jacqueline Avon was fatally shot last week. The suspected killer is on parole and has a long rap sheet. Rapper Lil Wayne is being investigated for allegedly pulling an assault rifle on his bodyguard at his home in Hidden Hills. It supposedly happened earlier this month, but Lil Wayne's people say it never happened and the rapper does not own a gun. Crews have put out a fire at Rancho Cucamonga High School. It happened last night. 3 classrooms were affected. The school says classes will continue as normal today and the damaged areas will just be blocked off. Some World War II veterans are remembering the 80th anniversary of the attack on Pearl Harbor.
When we talk about it, people don't believe us. So we're trying to talk about it.
David Russell was 21 years old and in the Navy aboard the USS Oklahoma when the bomb started falling. He managed to jump off the ship and swim to safety before the ship capsized. Russell is in Hawaii for the remembrance ceremony. Former Senate Majority Leader Bob Dole will lie in state Thursday in the U.S. Capitol Rotunda. He died Sunday at the age of 98. Well, the Justice Department has closed its investigation into the murder of Emmett Till. Till was a 14-year-old black boy who was tortured and lynched in Mississippi in the 50s when he was accused of whistling and grabbing a white woman. The feds reopened the case 3 years ago when a book was published that said the woman admitted to making up the accusations against him, but the Justice Department says it could not prove she lied. Actor Jussie Smollett is set to take the stand again in Chicago in his disorderly conduct trial. He's accused of faking a racist, homophobic attack on himself in 2019. ABC's Derek Bennett says Smollett testified yesterday he did drugs and had sex with one of the 2 brothers who say Smollett hired them to carry out the crime.
Smollett told the court Bolo wanted to be hired as a personal security guard, but Smollett was opposed, finding security too intrusive. He also said a $3,500 check paid to Bolo was for personal training services.
Smollett could get 3 years in prison if convicted. A former general manager of the DWP has agreed to plead guilty to a federal bribery charge. David Wright took money from a lawyer in exchange for helping the man get a $30 million no-bid contract for his company. Wright also admits to taking part in other corrupt schemes while leading the DWP. The lawyers also agreed to plead guilty in the case. Wright had the DWP general manager job from September 2016 till July 2019 when prosecutors say he quit because LA Mayor Garcetti asked him to. Well, the NFL wants to beautify Southern California. It's making environmental upgrades around the LA area ahead of the Super Bowl. NFL Greens, Susan Groh says the organization is not only planting trees in different communities, but it's doing other projects as well.
We're also building community gardens in different areas throughout the Los Angeles area, and we're working with a group called Force Blue. They're a group of special ops retired military veterans, and they're working with us to restore a kelp bed.
Groh says the NFL has been offsetting the environmental impacts of its major events for 28 years. She says the organization planted 26 trees in Watts over the weekend.
I'm too safety for this girl, too safety for your girl.
Rapper Drake has withdrawn his music from consideration for the 2022 Grammys. Drake had been nominated for Best Rap Album for Certified Lover Boy and Best Rap Performance for Way Too Sexy. The Grammys say final voting will continue without choosing other artists to replace Drake in the two categories. Drake's been dealing with criticism and lawsuits for performing at the Astroworld Festival in Houston, where 10 people were killed in a crowd crash last month. And I would like to apologize in advance. I didn't write this, but it is appropriate for this song, for this story. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But it's a Small World story. The It's a Small World ride at Disneyland has reopened for the holidays. A flood caused the classic ride to shut down last month, but Disney says it worked around the clock to get the iconic ride back up and running. The ride reopened yesterday with lots of holiday lights as part of Disney's Merriest Nights event. When we come back, we'll talk with ABC's Jim Ryan. Well, the FDA is poised to authorize the first COVID-19 antiviral pill for at-home use, but there are still some members of the medical community who are still holding up their flag, saying they're concerned about the pill's low efficacy rate and the potential safety risks to pregnant women. So we'll talk about all of that with Jim in just a few minutes. But right now, let's take a look at that drive on the 10.
As you make your way through the Baldwin Park area, westbound side of the 10 as you approach the 605, it's going to be pretty busy for you, and it looks like that is due to a wreck that's possibly blocking lanes of the transition road. 10 west transition to the 605 southbound. Also looks like the right lane on the 10 westbound approaching the 605 may be taken away. That's really heavy for you right now from Puente. And if you've got an update on this or anything else slowing you down, pound 250 on the cell phone, keyword KFI traffic, your alternate of the 210 and the 60. 210 westbound going to be busy for your drive as well, out of Glendora from before Grand into Irwindale as you make your way toward the 605. The 60 westbound is going to be patchy delays for you from 7th as you make your way beyond the 605, heading toward, looks like about Santa Anita Avenue before things loosen up for your drive further westbound on the 60. KFI in the Sky helps get you there faster. I'm Nick O'Keene.
This report is sponsored by Anthem Blue Cross.
Anthem Blue Cross and Heart of America are helping schools across the country increase their access to healthy food. Learn more at anthem.com/ca/SPARTS. Anthem Blue Cross is the trade name of Blue Cross of California.
This is Doug Gottlieb. Here's what's trending from the iHeart Sports Network.
Presented by the Alexandria House.
Kentucky Derby winner Medina Spirit is dead after collapsing on a racetrack in Southern California. Hall of Fame trainer Bob Baffert said the colt died from a heart attack. The Chargers placed Keenan Allen on the COVID-19 list. LA's leading receiver can return to the team if he tests negative 24 hours apart. And the Patriots ran over the Bills on Monday Night Football. New England only tried 3 passing attempts during a windy night in New York. I'm Missy Jordan.
The second annual Snicksmith Charity Drive is here in honor of Naya Rivera, raising money for Alexandria House that gives supportive housing for women and children from December 3rd to 17th, closing out with a Glee live stream event. Go to GoFundMe.com/Snicksmith2 to donate. That's Snicksmith with 2 X's.
The best part of the holidays is you get together with family and friends, you celebrate, and most of all, you reconnect. This holiday season, you can give the gift of quality water for all to enjoy. A LifeSource Whole House water system provides filtered, delicious water from every faucet and shower in your home by connecting directly to the plumbing. And with LifeSource, you can just skip the cost and hassle, and who needs more of that around the holidays, of buying bottled water. Is hard water a nuisance for you? Reduce those hard water problems and scale buildup with America's most recommended water system. A LifeSource water system filters out the chlorine and added chemicals from your water so you know your family is drinking and cooking and bathing worry-free. And the best part? There's no maintenance of any kind. LifeSource water systems make quality water easy. There are no filters to change, no salt to add. Simply install and enjoy. Call to speak with their expert service team. With the LifeSource water system, you get factory direct service and expertise. Call LifeSource today and get full service and full confidence in your water. Call them at 1-800-334-5009, 1-800-334-5009, or just visit lifesourcewater.com. LifeSource Water. Taste and feel the difference.
Every year, our team provides food and toys for less fortunate families. Hello, my name is John Aquan, owner of Rooter Hill Plumbing. I remember one Christmas when my dad didn't have any work, and we didn't have any money. I can still recall the look of shame on his face when my brother and I only had one present to open. I was a brat and said something I shouldn't have. To this day, I am still sorry for what I said to my dad. I was selfish and I wish I could take it all back. So I know what it's like for some families. At Rooter Hill Plumbing, we want to make Christmas special. So all this month, we are donating a portion of every plumbing and drain cleaning service we do to families in need. Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays from our family to yours. Thank you.
CL 102-8886.
If you're worried about your borderline blood pressure, hear how others are taking charge with Garlic Healthy Blood Pressure Formula.
Garlic works safely and naturally to support my blood pressure.
Garlic Healthy Blood Pressure Formula has a custom blend of garlic, vitamins, and minerals, so you know it works.
No garlic taste, no garlic breath.
Take charge of your blood pressure with Garlic Healthy Blood Pressure Formula. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. The term natural references only the garlic in the product. Use as directed.
You may be into punk rock, soft rock, or classic rock, R&B, hip-hop, or house, country, techno, or techno-country. But no matter what kind of music you listen to, here's something else you should hear. Please consider getting vaccinated. Talk to your pharmacist today about Comirnaty, COVID-19 vaccine mRNA. This message brought to you by BioNTech and Pfizer.
Wealth is about more than making money. It's about making the most of life's possibilities. At Edelman Financial Engine, we believe that's key to taking your wealth potential to the next level. That's why we model over 38,000 investments across 17 asset classes monthly, so your strategy is current and focused on the goals ahead. That's why we don't use cookie-cutter strategies, but a comprehensive, tax-smart, cost-effective, and personalized approach to wealth planning. That's why our advice is powered by a sophisticated investment management approach that's been awarded 12 U.S. patents. And that's why our experts help coordinate every facet of your financial life. Wealth planning, investment management, estate planning, insurance, and more. For more ways to take your wealth potential to a new level, call Edelman Financial Engines and schedule a free, no-obligation meeting with an advisor today. Reach us at 833-PLAN-EFE or visit planefe.com.
Let me tell you, I am so happy I went with SolarMax. Just wish I did it sooner with all the money I saved.
Right now, get SolarMax's offer Tesla 420 panels and Powerwalls for $79.96 per month and $0 down.
Dial pound 250 for me sell and say the keyword SolarMax or go to solarmaxtech.com. Monthly payment available on a food credit. CSW number 97204. There is somebody out there, probably even here in Southern California, that has not left their house since the pandemic started. They have not left their house. Everything got delivered, all their food. They're inside with a mask on all day long.
John and Ken, weekdays at 2.
This is a big country. There's got to be somebody with that type of mental illness and paranoia.
On KFI.
Everywhere on the iHeartRadio app on a showery Tuesday morning. Looks like we will get more showers today, mostly just this morning though. Then it'll taper off tonight into tomorrow, and then a bigger storm coming in on Thursday. I'm Jennifer Jones-Lee, and some of the stories we're watching in the KFI 24-hour newsroom. A 13-year-old boy has been killed and 2 other people shot in Wilmington. The boy and a woman were shot yesterday afternoon while sitting in a car. More cases of the Omicron COVID-19 variant have been reported in L.A. The LA County Health Department says a college student who recently visited the East Coast is the 2nd case, and a person who recently traveled to West Africa is the 3rd case. California Republican Congressman Devin Nunes has announced he'll retire at the end of the year. He's taking a new job as CEO of the Trump Media and Technology Group. And actor Jussie Smollett is going to be on the stand again in Chicago in his disorderly conduct trial. He's accused of faking a racist, homophobic attack on himself in 2019. Right now, let's say hello to ABC's Jim Ryan. So, Jim, let's start with the FDA, and it looks like that they will authorize the first COVID-19 antiviral pill for at-home use. Tell us a little bit more about the pill itself.
Well, first I'm going to say the name so I don't have to say it again. Molnupiravir. Molnupiravir.
Good job, Jim. Oh my God, you're like me. Get it out of the way. I said it once, let's move on.
Right. Merck started developing this several months ago, and these things come about very quickly in the days of the pandemic. It's been working with Ridgeback Biotherapeutics. It came up with this drug. It is a treatment for the symptoms as much as anything else. It's not preventative. It won't keep you from getting COVID-19. But it does soften the symptoms somewhat to keep you out of the hospital and to keep you from dying. Eventually, Merck said that the efficacy was something like 50, 60, maybe 70%.
They backed that down after further research and found that it's about 30% effective. So it's not for everybody. It's only for people with the most serious consequences in front of them if they do get COVID. Think of it as Tamiflu. As soon as you start feeling flu symptoms, you go to your doctor, and your doctor prescribes Tamiflu. You take it home with you, and you continue your treatment at home for about a week or so. This would be sort of the same thing. You don't have to go to the hospital. You don't have to go to the doctor's office or an infusion center. The doctor writes you a prescription. You pick it up at the pharmacy and take it like any other pill.
But let's go back to Tamiflu. It's not necessary. The efficacy is, iffy on the person and when you take it and what your symptoms are at that time, that sort of thing. So I know the efficacy is one thing that there are many doctors who are saying, yeah, this is great, but is it that effective if you actually take it?
Right, yeah, well, that's at least what the testing shows, and that's all we can go by, is what the testing has shown to be effective. They took a look at a control group that was taking placebo, the other group was taking the actual drug. It was effective in keeping people out of the hospital. And that, it seems to be relatively effective that way. There's a new drug that Pfizer is working on called Tapered, and it shows an 89% reduction in hospitalization and death in clinical trials. The FDA is going to be looking at that one here in the next few months. And so they're putting out a good drug. They say that it's pretty effective. It's not for everybody. It's not for pregnant women, by the way. It can cause birth defects potentially. So, but there are new drugs on the horizon that are constantly coming out now.
And it's the pregnant women concern that seems to be the one that made the most headlines and that you heard from the most doctors saying, I need to know more about what the implications could be on a mother and the fetus.
Right. I mean, there is the potential for birth defects that come along with this drug, and that caused some concern on the FDA panel that looked at this. They voted to approve the use of this by 13 to 10. So it wasn't unanimous. It could have easily failed and been taken back to the drawing board at Merck. But it's gotten that approval, and in the next few weeks, potentially, it will be showing up in the pharmacy.
All right. Thank you so much, Jim. I appreciate it.
Okay.
All right. See you later. Now you have to go to another station and say that same word. Oh, it's the worst. Here's behind the scenes for you. So usually in our stories that have a difficult word, there's a pronouncer in it, right? And so you practice it, and you practice it, and you practice it, because you know that when you hit that word, there's a good chance you're going to stumble. And the more you practice it, almost the worse you get. Somebody said to me one time, I think, therefore I think. And it's so true. The more you get in your head about it, you get up to that word, and even though you've just said it 15 times correctly, you got to say it on the air, and it just comes out, It's true, every time. All right. We're talking about Hawaii and catastrophic flooding. There is a storm system that is lasting through today. They've already had nearly a foot of rain that's fallen on Maui over the last 24 hours. Rainfall totals of 10 to 15 inches are anticipated. They've got areas of 20 to 25 inches possible. Those will be smaller areas, obviously, but still, it could happen. On the Big Island, they say 8 inches of rain have fallen in the past 24 hours. And this was from a story that came out last night in multiple locations. And they say that more heavy rain is expected to fall across Maui, Oahu, and Kauai through the day. So if you've got plans to vacation for the holidays in Hawaii, there's a massive Christmas tree that goes up in Oakland's Jack London Square. Huge tree. And it's beautiful. Jack London Square in Oakland over the years has become less and less desirable because of the crime that has happened there. Well, the 55-foot Christmas tree in Oakland's Jack London Square was set on fire before the city's annual Christmas tree lighting. They never even had a chance to light the freaking thing. Somebody, it's shocking, they think it's arson. They say, well, a final assessment of the full-scale impact is scheduled for this week. Only 10% of the tree was damaged, and it will likely survive through the tree lighting. So now we are going to light a partially burned Christmas tree in Jack London Square in Oakland. I'm sorry, but if that does not paint a picture of what is happening in the city of Oakland, where you have the mayor who just said, hey, remember all that money that we were going to take and not put into police? Not only do we need to, I need to reverse my decision on that, but we also need to add more cops to the street. A massive tree that catches fire in Jack London Square, which is supposed to be part of your, the jewel of the city. They say with so many people for the last 2 years being unable to gather safely in groups or celebrate major holidays in a way that they're accustomed, that would jeopardize, one of these community events like the upcoming tree lighting. It's really heartbreaking. Yeah. Says the Oakland Fire Department spokesperson. So there you go. Good for them if they go ahead and light the partially burned tree, but if that doesn't tell you what's going on in Oakland, I don't know what to do.
Oh, please.
And finally, Texas assistant football coach Jeff Banks and his girlfriend Danielle Thomas were sued over an incident that occurred on Halloween involving, I can't make this up, the woman's pet monkey that allegedly bit a child.
What, sir?
Amy and Casey Clinkenbeard filed the lawsuit against Coach Jeff Banks and his girlfriend Danielle Thomas, alleging their child was trick-or-treating on Halloween and were invited into a haunted house. That's where the lawsuit says the child and his friends were taken to an area where the monkey was kept and was told the animal gave out high five, but instead, the monkey bit the little boy. So there you go. Monkeys are great, but I kind of feel like what could go wrong? You got a monkey in the house, and all of a sudden you're going to invite a bunch of little kids in costumes, and, I would get freaked out if a whole bunch of little kids in costumes showed up inside my house. So now I'm a monkey. I'm probably a monkey in a cage, and now a whole bunch of kids show up as, fairies and Avengers and whatever. I might find them too. I'm just saying. All right, when we come back, we will do our big bites this morning. Of course, we've got all kinds of stuff. Pepperoni lovers, I have a warning for you. New delivery service from DoorDash. And also, I'll tell you which are the most sinful cities in the U.S. But I also want to talk about something I think is super important. And though I know that we are making strides in this, when it comes to Army members and their spouses, trying to transition from military life to civilian life, it is still such a thrill. And there is a virtual career fair today from 11 until 3. And I want to highlight this because there are very few, places that you can go to get this specific help. And I want to make sure that anybody who needs it has it available to them today. So I got details on the career fair straight ahead. Right now, we're taking a look at a house fire in South LA.
It's on the Pacific Street near the intersection of Vermont and 74th. So it looks like the flames are out for the most part, but you definitely want to maybe plan some alternates for your morning drive heading to South LA. So rather than using Vermont, you can try for Western or Normandy, and an alternate to the 74th would be Gage or Florence. Checking the drive for you as you make a note through the San Gabriel Valley once again in Baldwin Park, westbound side of the 10. Transition to the 605 southbound. It is a crash blocking lanes that connect the roadway. Updating the map looks like that's going to be especially heavy for you westbound 10 from well before it's seeing delays from far back as visitors. So definitely give yourself some extra time getting out the door this morning. Westbound 210 is an alternate to the 10 westbound, still heavy for you off the 57 out of Glendora. Continuing to Irwindale toward the 605 and the westbound 60. Going to be busy out of Cuba from Central into Diamond Bar toward the 57, and then some passing delays for you further westbound from before Hacienda Boulevard. As you get out of Industry and Hacienda Heights, you'll see passing delays continuing through the San Gabriel Valley. KFI in the sky helps get you there faster. I'm Nick calling it. Hey, Conway, you're talking about Conway drinking water. They found arsenic levels 430 times what's considered safe. And San Diego's just as bad. Newport Beach, I hope you like drinking halocytic acid, because your drinking water has 254 times the safe amount. We all know tap water is awful. And you're drinking, showering, and bathing your kids in water with cancer-causing chemicals. I know we joke around on the air, but that's really serious. Do what I did, called Puritan Water. They've been in business for over 35 years. Puritan
Purigen turns tap water into pure, delicious water and becomes with a free 6-stage alkaline drink system. I know, holidays are here. Right now, they can install both systems with no money down and no payments for 3 months. Plus, lifetime service at no charge. Don't wait unless you're trying to get rid of your in-laws. Otherwise, call Purigen 844-80-WATER, 844-80-WATER, or PUR, again, water.com. That's Purigen Water.